Today is April 30th, 1986. Mr. Chester Zdrodowski, retired principal of Willett School, will narrate the following movie from a 1931 and a 1952 field day.
Good afternoon, boys and girls. It's nice to be back in the Willett School. I'm glad that you people are still with us. And I'm happy to see the teachers, or many of the teachers that were here with me are still here. And this is what you're going to see on the film. You may not see some of the teachers that you see today, but many of the teachers here may remember some of them as pupils. Field Day started, I don't know how many years ago. I remember that being a Willett School pupil here from day number one in my life. I was born across the street from this school building, and a few years later I became the principal of it. There used to be a grocery store where today Miss Paczynski lives. So it goes back a few years. The one in 1931 that you're going to see is a little bit before my time. I won't even tell you that. I was about 10 or 11 years old at that time. But I do remember some of the faces in it, and I will try to recall them. Field Day itself was not held. It was held every year for a good many years. Then it became too expensive and too much of a burden and too much loss of school time on the part of the students. So the Board of Education decided to have it every 3 or 4 years. That's why you see the span in time there. There were other field days between 1931 and 1952. However, no one thought of having them filmed. You notice the clothing in those days? Today we still have sweaters, though. Look at the skirts on the girls. Aren't they long? And they're becoming longer today, too, aren't they? So fashions really come back after many, many years. It took 55 years to come back. I know because I have 500 neckties, and some of the ties from 500 back are still similar today. I think the police officers in those days had a belt going over their shoulder, just as you see today with the safety patrols. Now, these are not people who are out of and working people. These are people who were attending school. You can see that in those days they were a little older. You notice the car, you notice the plate number on it. Now, these are actually fellows who were in the service. And here you see the different school groups coming in. Even in those days we had what you see there. At one time we had the bells, I believe they called them. And you see some of them here. Now you notice the belts across the breast of these children. That was an indication that if you had red meant that you were from the Lincoln School. Because whenever we had a field day, we'd also call those from the Lincoln School, we'd call them the Red Lobsters. And I won't tell you what they called the Willett School or Campbell School pupils, but we always had a nickname for each other. As trolley tracks, yes, to those who were there for many, many years. They went right through South River. They went all the way from through South Amboy to New Brunswick, all the way through South River, South Amboy, New Brunswick, and many other of our neighboring communities. See the plate number 26610? That's Mr. James Armstrong, whose business is still being run today. This is the Polish Boys Band. This band was formed way back in 1928 at the Polish National Home. But going back to Mr. Armstrong, his business is still being run on Water Street. I don't know the name of the company now, but they are still in business there. He was very instrumental in politics in South River. And he smoked that cigar until the day he left to go to heaven. And there's the Lincoln School. I'm trying to recognize some of the teachers, but I was a little bit before my time. I don't know where that band is from. It could have been from New Brunswick or from Perth Amboy. We always had a high school come in from another community. Maybe Woodbridge. But as I said before, these field days were held every year for a good number of years, and then because of the loss of time in school and because of the expense, they decided to have them every 3 or 4 years. Campbell School, as you would be able to figure out, with the C on the band across the chest. Maybe some of the teachers in here will recognize some of the teachers on the screen. In those days, boys and girls, the classrooms were much larger. It seemed as though they were all crowded in. In those days, teachers had 35 and 40 pupils in the class. And they were happy, just as you people are today. Now, there's some of the parents. There's Mr. Gilligan. Is that Milligan? He was the principal of the Campbell School, a tall, thin man. They're the people without their heads. Today you call them zombies. By the way, this is not at the Campbell School. The Campbell School wasn't even, I should say, this was not held at the Campbell School. This was held at what at that time was called the Polish Giants Field, which is across the highway, across the S-18. And they call it the Polish Giants Field because the area had a baseball team made up of baseball players, and they called themselves the Polish Giants. This is just across the road from South River. I don't believe they had the field ready in those days, Mrs. Anastasio. That Campbell School field was not constructed at the same time as the building. No. See the car in back there? If you had that today, it'd be worth about maybe $30,000, $40,000 if we were in good shape. You notice the seats, some of them are upside down, aren't they? Look at that car. Look at that truck. And it was nice to see the people in town come to see this parade, and they would be dressed as though they were going to church on Sunday. And you could see the people in the background, mothers and fathers, were really dressed for the occasion. It was a very big thing in our town. And the way they gathered, we would meet out here. The Willett School would meet first. We would form at different grade levels, would be off different streets. Then we would pick up. By the way, the youngsters from the Campbell School, I don't recognize those, but that is not Mrs. Fitzpatrick nor the daughter. I may be wrong, but I believe that was the principal, the wife of the principal of the Campbell School. This is Mr. Fitzpatrick. This is the way he taught us, and this is what we did as a part of our phys ed program, not only for the program, but also during the whole year. Now you'll compare this one with the one that you will see in 1952. It's a little different. This is Mr. Fitzpatrick, who was the keeper of the Kitty Keepwell camp for 40-some years. That isn't Mr. Becker. That's Coach Fitzpatrick. He was very enthusiastic. He's a great guy. Incidentally, I wanted to be just like Coach Fitzpatrick, and this was my heart's desire, and this is what happened. I did the same thing that he did. He did it in 31, and I did it in 52. These are different dances that the different schools put on. Each school would be asked to put on a different type activity, and we would sort of compete against one another. And of course, you can see that this was probably from Russia. And this South River one time was predominantly Polish and Russian. And this is probably one of the reasons for this dance. It's just too bad we can't get the music to this. Some of you will probably hum it to yourselves. Some of you may have taken part in it somewhere since you came to our little town. As I said before, these are from different nations. And this took months of practice. This wasn't done just for one day. These youngsters would have to practice at least 6 or 7 weeks to put on this performance. Now that can't be Polish. You notice how the people had to stand off to the side. There weren't any bleachers at this time. This would be the Hungarian dance. This would probably be from the Lincoln School area, which was predominantly Hungarian at that time, and probably still is. Why don't some of you hum it? Can't you hum it? Don't you know the song of this? Now, which country will this represent now? Pardon? Portugal, it could be, or Spain. That would be from Hungary. No, I really don't know, but... And this once more, does it look like... It looks like the Lincoln School group, doesn't it, with the L's on their belts? That's not a boy, that's a girl. Now, what dance is this? The Joker dance? He's a Joker? Or she's a Joker? Court jester? Yes, a court jester. Good. No, it isn't. I'm trying to recognize that building in the background. Can you, Mrs. Grayson? As I said before, that's Mr. Monish. That band, this is Mr. Monish's band. Mr. Monish was a professional violin player, and this was his livelihood. His mother and dad. That's Mr. Price, who used to run. There's Coach Fitzpatrick again. There's Jitney Urbanik back there. Of course, these are the pupils. Trying to recognize some of the other people in the background. Getting back to Mr. Price, Mr. Price was a bandmaster in South River. He had the very first band in our South River High School system, and he was there for many, many years. And he gave his time free. This was taken 55 years ago. How old would some of those people be today? They would probably recognize themselves in some of these. And that concludes the 19th.